Welcome back to The Explainer. So I am absolutely thrilled to dive into today's source material with you guys because it totally flips the script on how local businesses actually survive and thrive. Instead of obsessing over, superficial metrics and vanity numbers, we're going to dig into the fascinating psychology behind consumer behavior. We're looking at what genuinely builds that deep, rock-solid, long-term loyalty. But before we get into the data and the specific case studies, I want you to stop for just a second. I want you to think about your absolute favorite local restaurant. Seriously, picture it in your mind right now. Why do you keep going back? Is it really just because they have, the best food in a 50-mile radius? Or is it something a bit deeper? Maybe it's the vibe, the feeling, the sheer predictability of it all. Keep that specific spot in your head, because it is literally the perfect anchor for the massive business lesson we're unpacking today.
Part 1. The Yolanda success story, or how a local spot became a Ventura County staple.
Okay, let's dive into this timeline. Back in 1982, Rod and Yolanda Gietzen opened their very first Mexican restaurant in Oxnard, California. But listen, this was not some typical aggressive corporate rollout, not at all. Their growth was entirely organic and completely driven by customer demand. The Oxnard location was such a massive hit locally that folks from neighboring Ventura were practically begging them to open a spot over there, which they finally did in 1984. And then the exact same thing happened in Comarillo in 2001 and again in Simi Valley in 2008. Over the decades, Yolanda's basically became synonymous with casual dining in the entire area.
So how exactly do you get customers to champion a business that passionately? Well, Yolanda's didn't pull this off merely by serving up great casual Mexican food. They did it by fundamentally weaving themselves into the fabric of the community's lifestyle. We're talking online ordering, local fundraisers, happy hours, early bird specials. They essentially became the dependable, everyday backdrop for the community's daily life. Moving on to part 2, the power of familiarity and the shift from a mere product to absolute dependability. To really get this, we have to completely shift our focus away from what a business actually sells, like, tacos and margaritas, to what they actually provide. And what they provide is familiarity. Familiarity is simply the state of being a dependable default choice rather than just a one-time option. The long-term local spots don't win by being some shiny new novelty that you try once on a random Friday night. No, they win by becoming a known, predictable, completely comfortable part of people's everyday routines. And this creates a whole bunch of really diverse habit triggers. For the regulars, Yolanda's is the go-to spot for family dinners. It's the place for casual celebrations. It's the standard Friday happy hour destination. By covering literally everything from early bird options to big community fundraisers, they trigger a visit for a dozen completely different reasons. It turns the whole establishment into a multi-use routine, rather than just, a dining room.
Our source material actually hits the nail on the head with a really profound point here. It says, customers return because the business feels known. They know what to expect. Think about how incredibly powerful that is. They know exactly where to go, they know it works perfectly for the family, they know it's great for hanging out with friends, and they absolutely know they're going to get that familiar comfort food. When a customer knows exactly what to expect, they don't even have to overthink it. The decision to walk through those doors becomes entirely automatic. Which brings us to part 3, trendy attention versus lasting habits and the exhausting cycle of going viral. This right here is the core tension of the whole explainer. Chasing attention, it is exhausting. Businesses are constantly trying to be trendy, pushing out wild stunts and running on this frantic, never-ending treadmill, just trying to capture a fleeting, tiny little second of awareness in a crazy crowded market. It is a lot. Actually, scratch that. It's a completely unsustainable grind. But building familiarity, that is like dropping an anchor. It's warm, it's steady, it is the reassuring comfort of a place that really knows you and a place that you can rely on year after year. And the reason that slow and steady approach absolutely wins out is simple. Habits completely remove the need to rethink a decision. Sure, trendy businesses might get a super quick spike in attention, but familiar businesses become deeply ingrained habits. Think about it. A customer with a habit doesn't whip out their phone to endlessly scroll and search for a place to eat. They just go straight to their default spot. And let me tell you, that is a massive, incredibly lucrative advantage. All right, part 4, becoming the default choice and applying the Yolanda's lesson everywhere. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how this masterclass in habitual loyalty isn't just confined to the restaurant industry. It applies to almost any local business out there. Look at how a simple one-time transaction translates into a genuine lifelong relationship across the board. Like, are you just the place someone goes for an emergency filling? Or have you built enough familiarity to become the trusted family dentist? A gym needs to pivot from selling a quick New Year's resolution pass to becoming an ingrained, non negotiable weekly routine. A realtor goes from just facilitating a single stressful house sale to being the trusted advisor a family calls every single time a housing question pops up. Even a contractor stops being just the guy you call for a quick fix and transforms into the go-to expert that homeowners recommend over and over again. Which brings us right to this incredibly powerful takeaway from our source material. The strongest local businesses are not only known, they are remembered, trusted, and repeated. Mere awareness is not the finish line, folks. Just because people in your town recognize your logo doesn't mean you've won the game. Being actually remembered, earning their deep, unwavering trust, and securing their repeat habitual business, that is the true goal. That is the whole shebang. So if there is one massive, absolute must-remember takeaway from all of this today, it's this. Stop being a one-time option and become a regular choice. You really need to fundamentally rethink how you position your ultimate value to your community. A business instantly becomes exponentially more valuable at the exact second a customer stops seeing it as a one-off transaction and starts seeing it as a completely dependable, totally automatic part of their regular routine. I want to end today's explainer by leaving you with this sort of mic drop question to help you deeply evaluate your own strategy. Ask yourself, and be really honest here. Are you just trying to get one-time attention, or are you actually building the kind of deep familiarity that makes people come back and refer others? Think about Yolanda's. Think about the quiet power of being the default choice. Take a hard look at your own habits, and then look right back at your business. Thank you so much for exploring this with me on The Explainer today, and I genuinely hope it helps you start building that familiarity right now.